here we have what I call the unicorns of motorcycles. This is a really rare beast, but the man here standing next to me owns this motorcycle, Graham Goodwin. Graham.
Hello.
This is something I have never seen, although I'm British, I've never seen one of these in the flesh before, an Ascott Pullin, is that right?
That's correct. Ascott Pullin, made in Hertfordshire for less than 1 year, as far as we can gather. Started late 1928, didn't make it past the Depression.
How many were made?
Good question. From what I can gather, somewhere between around 400, maybe a few more. Certainly less than 500. This one is number 249, so we know they at least got to around 250.
It really is. I mean, for the age of the machine, it is so futuristic. It must have been, something almost like a DeLorean or a Tesla of its time when you look at it.
It was advertised as the new wonder motorcycle. Something like 25 patents were taken out on various aspects of it, and it boasted 52 unique features.
So tell us about some of them. What are the really unique features about this? I mean, I can see it's got a pressed steel frame. What else is unique about it?
Yeah, certainly it's a pressed steel frame. From what I can gather, it's a single pressing at the top, a sort of monocoque chassis, I guess you'd say, with a fuel tank in the front and an oil tank at the back, 4.5 gallons up here, a gallon down here, little toolbox there. Another Ascott Pullin, the Ascott part of the Ascott Pullin was from the Ascott Motor Manufacturing Company.
Right.
And they had access to large press tools, which are necessary to make all the pressed steel items. There's a lot of pressed steel on this bike. And the Pullin aspect of it came from Cyril Pullin, who designed it.
It's an incredible machine. I mean, just look at the dials here, the Jaeger dials. You've even got a clock here as well. What are these things? These levers here? Because they look a little bit unusual.
They're unicorn's teeth, those.
No.
Actually. I'm really lucky to get those. When I got this bike, I'll give you a little bit of the history later. The whole handlebars, the whole front end was missing from it. But we managed to source this handlebar pressing with the fascia. It was rusted in half, which was repairable, but fortunately it had these two levers on it. One is the choke lever,
right,
or air as it's called, and this one is for the steering damper.
My goodness me.
Now, I've spoken to Graham about this bike before, the brakes. Now, you've got to remember, what was this, 1920?
Designed in, first produced in 28, so 28-29.
28-29. Now, Cyril Pullin was also involved in the aircraft industry too, wasn't he?
He also worked for Douglas Motors.
Yep.
He also won the TT in 1914.
So he had some pedigree. He had some pedigree. But tell us about the brakes and why they're so unique.
They're hydraulic.
Hydraulic brakes. I mean, we didn't see that until the 70s on motorbikes. Even the 71 Suzuki over here doesn't have hydraulic brakes. But Ascott Pullin had it in the 20s.
Can't say they were horrendously good, but yes, they were there.
Now, the motor over here, Graham.
Yes.
A 500cc overhead valve unit construction, which was very unusual for the day. Do you want to give us some features of the motor?
Look, it's a bit... Some commentators said it's like half a Douglas in some respects, but it is unit construction, 500cc, overhead valve, single cylinder, twin port, unit construction with a 3-speed gearbox sitting on top of the engine and driven by double helical gears, I think. Internal oil pump. Many bikes of the era had external manual oil pumps. Push rod engine.
Twin exhaust, twin port exhaust, which was the fashion of the time.
Very fashionable at the time.
While Graham's popping off some of the side covers, I might, because this is all enclosed, but we can get those side covers off. Is that
they will come off,
okay,
yes.
well, let's have a look inside there.
I'll hand the mic to you, Anthony.
Yep, just give me that for a second, because I was just going to, I know a little bit of the history of this bike. Was this engine, this was found in Cootamundra, which is right down on the down south in New South Wales, in a very dilapidated state, and Graham despaired because he couldn't, the engine was very, very bad. But a fellow AMCA member in Tasmania actually turned up with the engine for it. And Howard Burrows, who's one of our judges, actually helped Graham out with the engine. You can see what a wonderful unit it is in there. And that's obviously how you access the chain and all that sort of thing. Now, you also got covers on the other side, haven't you, Graham?
I do.
Could we have a look at those, please? Can you bring the camera over, Matt? So, and what have we got over this side? Obviously the primary side, the primary drive.
We've got a clutch over here, an engine speed clutch, all metal clutch, about...
No fibre plates.
No fibre plates, all metal. It's a cone-shaped clutch. It does come off. And there we go.
Oh, look at that.
Whoops.
And the magneto, obviously, you can access the magneto from there.
A mag dyno at the top. The very early engine, here's the carburetor. The very early engine had a horizontal carburetor. This one's got a little elbow on it and breathes through this hole at the side of the frame here.
Now, to all the people sitting at home, this is obviously a work in progress. And what was sort of good about this weekend, I said to Graham, I said, what's the chance of getting that Ascott Pullin out? And it's sort of good because I reckon that within the next few weeks we'll see this completely finished, painted, everything.
Well, at least by the next AMCA, we hope.
Well, we hope so. Now, in the meantime, Graham's a very big Rudge fan, having owned a number of Rudges. When did you get your first Rudge, Graham? What year?
I was still in high school, though. I won't say any more than that.
Now, this veteran Rudge here, come and have a look at this, Howard. Now, just quickly go through gas lights and acetylene light set up here. Can we get on these, Matt? Do you want to explain how that works?
Certainly. Do you want to hold this?
Sure.
I'll pull it apart. People want to explain?
Yep.
Okay, acetylene gas generator here. It's in two compartments. You put water in the top. This little piece here. Fill this up with water. Down the bottom here, you place your carbide crystals. This canister at the bottom.
So this is like the old miners' helmets.
This is a bit like that, yeah.
Yep.
And this was the only way. Cars, horse carriages, everything.
That was how they got lights.
This sort of an arrangement.
Yep.
It does come off, but it doesn't want to
swing
come
the
off
other way.
Yeah, try that. Whoops, there we go.
And you put your carbide in there. The water drips on it, and it sends out acetylene gas.
Acetylene gas.
And that goes through the tail light, and you've got to light it.
Yep.
How do you light it then?
With a match.
I'll leave that off.
Keep away from the petrol tank though, at the same time, probably.
Well, if you come down on the front here, Matt.
Yep. You'll see that there's a... in fact, there's a very similar one of these actually in the auction this afternoon, light like this.
Yep. So there's a little
and
burner.
You can see there's a little burner inside there.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
And you light that.
You light that, and you probably get half a candle power. I
think
so. How much you get?
Now, the drive, Howard.
Belt drive.
Direct belt drive. The way that you start this is you pedal it. Is that correct?
Yeah, very typical of most English machines of this era.
And of course, this is 1911. What's probably good to do is, if you don't mind, Graham, is if you can show us how to start this, and people can get a little bit of an idea of what motorcycling was like in this, I suppose, Edwardian era.
That's right. I'll just go and get my yellow jersey. I've been practicing for the tour.
Yep.
So we turn on fuel, that's on, and the oil.
Yep.
We give it a good prime or flood the carburetor.
Now, you've obviously got a manual advance and retard on the magneto.
This is the advance and retard here. Many machines had it up on the handlebar, but this one's mounted on the side of the tank. We've got fuel
dripping out of it.
Now, so get the fire extinguisher.
No, we're ready to go.
Yep. And you've got this plethora of levers up here.
We do. We have the valve lifter here, which lifts the exhaust valve off the seat, which releases the compression in the engine. Which
so you can pedal it. Yep.
Pedal it. We have a clutch on this machine, which locks out.
Luxurious.
Very luxurious. And on the other side, this is your carburetor controls, the throttle and air lever.
So you can actually mix. You can actually change your mixture as you're going.
Correct.
Yep. Because what people don't realise is that fuels were very unreliable in 1911. So you actually had to have that scope to be able to make finer adjustments as you're riding.
Very variable quality, and probably the carburetors weren't as good as they could have been.
Yep. All right. Let's see how we go.
The fuel's definitely coming through here, Anthony.
I think we've established that.
Should give it a shot of oil
first. Now you do. How many shots of oil do you give it?
Oh, how often do you give yours?
About every 5 miles, I reckon.
About every 5 miles.
Give it a squat, or if it's starting to feel a bit tight, you quickly give it one.
That's right. So look, let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
So I'd say that fired every lamppost.
Yeah, about that.
But
Yep.
did you notice the little lever down there? That's the town and country exhaust.
That's
so
it.
You didn't want to offend upset the horses or the cows in town. Or fine ladies. You definitely stick it to town, and then when you wanted a bit more oomph
And be a hoon.
and being hoon, you just put your foot down.
That's
literally.
it. That's it. What a fabulous bit of gear. Now you also might notice the exposed overhead valve here. The philosophy was the fuel would come in, be drawn in here, but the side valve exhaust on its way would actually be cooling the exhaust valve. And many American bikes of the time had that as well. And Rudge amongst British bikes were basically pioneered that.
Most of the English bikes of the time were
Side valve, absolutely.
This is the F head or inlet over exhaust.
Very, very highly technical. Well, thank you, Graham. Thanks for bringing this bit of history, and we
Fantastic,
feel
Graham.
very privileged to be able to see two absolutely fabulous and rare motorcycles.
It's a pleasure. I'll go home and get started on that Ascot.
Good stuff. Thanks, Graham.